Hey everyone, it's Doreen from Doggies and Stuff, and I might seem just a little bit raspy right now. It's because I just got out of bed. Um, Earlier this morning, I woke up and I started getting ready, like any day, and we had planned on going out to my husband's mother's home where family was gathering for, excuse me, a wedding anniversary, his grandparents' 70th wedding anniversary. So the plan was that I would take my girls over to my parents' house, and because usually when we go out to his mother's house, it's an all-day event. So we decided to let the dogs stay over at my parents' house today. On my way home from dropping the girls off, I started getting a headache. A lot of you may know that I am a chronic migraine sufferer. And most of the time I know I can sort of feel them coming on. This one came out of nowhere and kind of caught me by surprise. So by the time I got home, I was already feeling kind of sick and didn't really feel very well, and my head was throbbing. And I don't really even know what it's like to experience a regular headache, because to me a headache uh, is it feels like someone's bashing my head in. And so when my husband or somebody else I know says, "Oh, I have a little headache," I just cannot even wrap my head around that way of thinking, because my headaches are just absolutely massive, and sometimes uncontrollable. So the first thing I did when I got home was, I want to show you this real quick. This little box here is called an Imitrex stat dose pen. In here I have, you open it up like this, and it has this sort of pen type thing where the top right here there's a blue button, and what that is when you press that, it releases. You have to press this blue part here against your skin, and then when you are ready, when that's pressed against your skin right here, you push this button down and you hold it for about 5 seconds. What happens is it releases a needle and some medication into my body, and the medication is called Imitrex. So the other thing that's in here are these two cartridges. I don't know if you can see these, but if you open one, I'm just going to show you what this looks like. You put this pen inside. If I can get it in, there you go. You twist it and you pull it out, and you see that I've got an extender here, and that extender contains, there's a needle in there. I don't know if you can see it. I think you can see it a little bit. So in there contains some medicine, and I'm going to pull this out so you can see what it looks like a little bit. It's, if I can get it out. So this is what it looks like. There's a sharp needle in there, and then there's a vial right here that contains the Imitrex medication. So what I do is I take that out, and I use an alcohol swab, which I have a box of them here. These handy dandy little alcohol swabs, and I go ahead and ready my stat dose pen by pulling it out, getting the medication vial, pulling it out, and then alcohol swabbing the area of my thigh where I'm going to put the needle in. So you push that up against your skin, and you punch that blue button at the top, and you have to hold it for about 5 seconds to let the medication go into your body. Generally, this medication has been working for me recently. It's not always like that. If the medication doesn't work for me, I end up going to the emergency room, which can be absolutely horrifying for me. Because a lot of times when I go to the emergency room, there's a hospital just 2 blocks from us, so I could walk there if I wanted to. But there's a hospital a couple blocks away, and what happens is I go to the emergency room, and a lot of times I end up waiting for anywhere from 3 hours to 5 hours to even be seen. And generally what they have to do is they have to give me an IV at that point, put me on some IV fluids, because if these shots don't work, I am nauseous, I'm throwing up. It's just really awful. So what they'll do at the emergency room is they'll give me IV fluids and some heavy duty pain medication to try and get rid of the migraine that I have. A lot of times I will be in the emergency room for an entire day or an entire night, because a lot of times what they'll do is once they get you ready, they get the IV fluids in and they give you the shots. They wait about 20 minutes to 45 minutes. They come and check on you, see how you're doing. If my headache is still there, my migraine, they will have to give me yet another dose. So trips to the emergency room are not fun for me. And I like to avoid them at any cost. So anyway, that is one of the medications I use when I have a migraine. I'm also on preventive migraine medications that are supposed to sort of help them from coming on in the first place. And a lot of times what will happen too is I will not get them for several months now. It used to happen that I would get them every month. Now it's 7 months at a time I don't have them, and then all of a sudden they come back and they hit me boom, 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 one right after another. It's absolutely crazy. I have no idea when it's going to happen. It just happens. So the point of this video is not only to share my migraine experience with you, but to talk about a product which was very unusual to me, but it makes sense. It's by a company called C-Band. And what they are is, if you see my wrists here, you see that I have two sort of bracelet-looking things on, and you will see these little dots here. And on the other side of these dots is a more of a round plastic thing right here. I don't even know what it's called, but anyway, there are pressure points on your wrist, and that little white dot, if you get the pressure point correctly on both sides, it acts like sort of a pressure point type of way of helping your nausea. It may even help with headaches, I don't know, but that's what you do with these. Once you start feeling a little bit nauseous, whether it's from morning sickness, flying, I'm terrified to fly, or long car rides, so motion sickness if you're at sea, and now recently for migraines, people are starting to think that these work for nausea when you have migraines. So after I gave myself that handy little shot from the makers of Imatrix, I went ahead and put these bands on and laid down, and I woke up. Now it's about 2 hours later and I'm headache free, but I still have just a little tiny bit of a headache, but I don't feel horrible at all. I actually feel quite fine now. So I don't know whether these bands worked or not, but it's certainly something to think about. A lot of Eastern alternative medications include things like acupuncture and cupping therapy, and then, you know, obviously trying to find your pressure points. And so these little guys will come in handy. Again, I can't say whether these worked for me right now because I did go ahead and give myself a shot. I do that just because I don't want to wait too long. If I wait too long to give myself a shot, it's not good. It won't turn out good. So I try to do that right away. But I can tell you that right now I'm feeling fine. The other thing I wanted to tell you about when it comes to C-Band is they also have, again, for nausea, it's anti-nausea gum. It's called ginger gum. And this, I'm not sure how many are in here, but let me see here, 24 pieces. Ginger is known for sort of soothing your digestive, soothing your tummy, and helping people that have nausea. And so the makers of C-Band have turned it into ginger gum, and you would chew one of or two of these in addition to having these little bracelets on, these little bands. So while it's working here, it's also working inside of you because you're eating ginger, you're chewing ginger gum, you're getting that ginger inside to sort of help soothe whatever nausea that you might have coming on, to prevent you from throwing up or getting even more nauseous. I have had these, the ginger gum, I have had it, and it did seem to help me a little bit. I will say that. I did not have these just recently when I had my migraine a little bit ago, just because I was getting ready to lay down and I just didn't want to have gum in my mouth because I knew I was going to fall asleep after I took that shot. So anyway, C-Band makes these bands, and they're really kind of cool. And again, they hit the pressure points that are right here around your wrist. And when you get these, they actually tell you